It is Monday, March 3rd, and new polling has dropped, showing President Trump's approval rating up again. This time, a new Harvard-Harris poll showing his highest numbers yet for the end of February, closing out last month. Also, Democrats vowing to skip Trump's joint session of Congress tomorrow, saying they'd rather stand with their Ukrainian constituents. What? Ukrainians aren't their constituents. Americans are. Top congressional Dems, some members of Dem leadership even, planning on skipping tomorrow. We're going to show you and new details coming out about just how bad of an actor Zelensky is, how bad faith of an actor he is, and what really happened last week. Zelensky going around all weekend acting like he runs the world. Wait till you see some of the stuff this guy said. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. President Trump's approval rating spiking again. This time a new Harvard-Harris poll. And it's not just Trump's approval rating. It shows the American people supporting his policies, including DOGE, showing at the end of February to close out last month, 58% of Americans approve of his job performance. And likewise, 72% of voters supporting Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, which is actually pretty amazing. 72% is just a huge majority. According to this poll, voters are wholly in line with Trump's policy agenda, going line by line in the poll, asking voters about each individual policy. All of them he's above water on, with DOGE shrinking the size of government. He has the highest approval of all, ending the Ukraine-Russia war, ending ridiculous foreign aid spending, lowering taxes or eliminating taxes completely in support of a tariff-based system, switching from an income tax system to a tariff-based system. And who wouldn't agree with that? Why tax ourselves instead of taxing everyone else in the world? Watch.
Republicans love Donald Trump the way Grimace loves Ronald McDonald. Take a look here. Republicans' net approval rating, February of 2017, it was plus 77 points. Somehow it's even gone up. Look at this. It's plus 82 points at this point. You do not want to upset the Republican voters if you are a Republican member of Congress, because Donald Trump at this point has a popularity that, truthfully, is sky high.
We are seeing some dissent in town halls in a couple of different places. But if you were to take Congress and Donald Trump and tell voters, okay, you choose whose side you want to be on, who are they going for?
Yeah, who are they going for? If you match up the GOP in Congress versus Donald Trump, who do Republicans trust more? The answer here is very simple. It's Donald Trump. Look at this, 58% when the two of them disagree. Look at this, just 22% say GOP leaders in Congress. The bottom line is, in a matchup between the GOP in Congress and Donald Trump is Muhammad Ali. The Republicans in Congress are Sonny Liston. He would beat them right down.
Wow, we're doing boxing and we're doing a lot of things. Thank you so much for that, Harry. I thought you had your dancing shoes on, but apparently you had your boxing gloves on.
And if you caught that CNN anchor slipping in there that there's been some trouble, she said, at town hall events, she's referring to those Republican congressmen in swing districts who've seen paid crisis actors attend their town halls. Those are crisis actors. It all started on the same day last month. The media began reporting on this the exact same day it started. This new grassroots movement, quote unquote, it's fake. It's all part of the Dems' plan to gaslight us into thinking that Americans are unhappy with Donald Trump and DOGE specifically. They're paid actors. Trump writing this morning about this. Paid troublemakers are attending Republican town hall meetings, all part of the game for the Dems, but just like our big landslide election, it's not going to work for them. CNN trying to highlight this again this morning, purposely sending their news crews into specific town hall events to capture these paid actors claiming to be against. That's what these people are protesting. They're protesting against finding waste and fraud in our federal government. I wonder how, by the way, why and how CNN knew to go to these specific events. How do you think? Watch Scott Jennings call them out, exposing these are actually paid actors, CNN. We're not stupid. Watch.
Nobody loves going to a Republican town hall meeting like crazed liberal Democrat activists. I have no doubt they are their constituents, but these people, they hated Donald Trump before, they hate Donald Trump today, and they're professional complainers when it comes to Republicans. Clear, but let me just tell you, having been to many of these town hall meetings over a 25-year career in politics, a lot of the people that show up at these things are there because they're committed partisan activists, not because they wandered in because they had some concern. I don't doubt that they are actual constituents, but if you think somebody that showed up with a hand-painted sign at a town hall meeting came in undecided, I got news for you. It just doesn't work that way.
And because Dems are fighting Trump on all of his policies, fighting the hardest, though, about Elon and Doge, fighting to keep waste in government. That's what they're arguing for. It's insane. It's showing up in the polling. Look at this. The Democratic Party approval rating hits its lowest in history, breaking its low from last month even, hitting a new record low at 36%. Now 15 points below the Republican Party. That's wild. And it's just desserts. If the Republican Party in 2 or 4 years ends up lying to us, also stealing from us, also forcing us into endless foreign wars and conflicts, wasting our tax dollars like the Democrats do, if the Republican Party ends up doing that in 2 years or 4 years, then we'll turn on them as well. But right now, Trump's killing it. His team is killing it, and it's only been 5 weeks. In another story, Democrats are now vowing to skip Trump's first joint session of Congress tomorrow. Trump calling the joint session to deliver a speech to the nation and to all members of Congress. But instead of sitting down and listening to what the man has to say, listening to what their president has to say, some Democrats are calling for resistance and to skip it entirely. Even leadership, some of these Democrat leaders, like Senator Chris Murphy, a chairman of the subcommittee on counterterror, vowing to skip tomorrow and to resist and fight every step of the way. Watch this.
You have been trying to lead your party, lead your colleagues in being aggressive and pushing back, as we've heard a lot this morning, against Donald Trump. You're skipping his joint address to Congress on Tuesday. You believe other Democrats, House and Senate Democrats, should do the same, and why?
Oh, I think every Democrat needs to make up their own mind. I think that State of the Union speech is going to be a farce. I think it's going to be a MAGA pep rally, not a serious talk to the nation. I think Donald Trump is going to spew a series of lies about stop that billionaire takeover, that destruction of our democracy, only by fighting them every single day. A lot of Democrats think maybe you should fight every third day, you should reserve your power and jump out of the bushes at the right moment. I just think that we have to be on the offensive 24/7.
In another story, Trump announcing on Truth Social this morning that February last month had the lowest number of illegal aliens entering our country in history. True stat. CBP just released their year-to-date illegal crossing numbers. Trump saying the month of February, my first full month in office, had the lowest number of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country in history by far. There were only 8,326 apprehensions of illegals by Border Patrol at the U.S.-Mexico border, all of whom were quickly ejected from our nation or, when necessary, prosecuted for crimes against the United States. This means that very few people came. The invasion of our country is over. In comparison, under Joe Biden, there were 300,000 illegals crossing in 1 month, and virtually all of them were released into our country. Thanks to the Trump administration policies, the border is closed to all illegal immigrants. Anyone trying to illegally enter the U.S. will face significant criminal penalties and immediate deportation. That's less than 300 illegal crossings per day. Think about that. Less than 300 people attempting to cross the entire southern border every day over the last month. Under Joe Biden, his average was 11,000 per day. 11,000 versus 300. And of those 300 apprehensions, they were all immediately deported, rejected, kicked right back across the border. And he's not stopping there. Trump ordering his SecDef, Pete Hegseth, to secure complete operational control of the southern border. And they have. Pete Hegseth releasing a statement yesterday saying we are dead serious about 100% operational control of the southern border, deploying Stryker Brigade combat teams. This is what the border looks like right now at the Tijuana crossing point. Look at this. They're not messing around. Meanwhile, Democrat Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on Friday goes on CNN claiming that Trump isn't focused on securing the border like Democrats are. Really? Watch.
National security interests. Look, What we've seen from the Trump administration over the last several weeks is just a flood of unprecedented extremism and a parade of horribles that continue to be unleashed on the American people. While at the same time, the Trump administration is not focused on solving the problems of everyday Americans. We're continuing to make sure that we focus on trying to make life better for everyday Americans. Fundamentally, that's why we were sent to Washington, D.C. We have to drive down the high cost of living. We have to secure the border. We have to keep communities safe. We have to protect our dreamers and farm workers and families. These are the things that matter.
In another story, Trump considering suspending all aid to Ukraine this morning. The New York Times confirming this after we heard the same thing from Trump World over the weekend. President Trump may suspend or completely cancel all remaining military aid to Ukraine, including weapons already funded by Joe Biden's administration. Now, to be clear, Trump already halted all new aid to Ukraine. No new aid has been approved or sent by the Trump administration. Trump has approved $0 of new aid since becoming president. What we're talking about here is the already funded aid that the Biden administration squeezed through before leaving office. There's dollars in the pipeline already appropriated to go to Ukraine from last year. Trump's meeting this morning with his team to discuss canceling that, stopping it. This coming as we learned over the weekend that Zelensky is a completely ungrateful fool, going behind the Americans' backs and signing a 100-year minerals deal with Europe and the UK. Get this, 3 days before even coming to the US last week to meet with Trump. That rare earth deal we thought he was going to sign with Trump, turns out 3 days before coming to the Oval Office, he already signed those mineral rights away to the UK and Europe. What? Watch.
Well, first off, they've got to change the fact that on the 17th of January, the British signed an agreement with Ukraine to have exclusive rights to those deals. Kirchner, this is a battle of dueling narratives. You can go check it out. This is on the British-UK website. It talks about this 100-year, Ukraine and UK signed a 100-year deal over security guarantees and economic development. So what happened is that I believe President Trump and his team found out that they were being played. So this has become a set of dueling narratives. The BBC just said today there's massive protests here. Zach Andrews just said all the European leaders are behind Zelensky. We are being played. We, the United States, are trying to be signed up to a deal that we provide security guarantees to a economic development deal that Keir Starmer has already signed them up to do.
Zelensky telling reporters all weekend that he doesn't need the U.S., that Ukraine has the full support and backing of Europe, which is more than enough, he says. Now, technically, Europe can fund the Ukraine war alone, but it'll be costly, very, very expensive to do. Is that what they want? We'll see. Zelensky also responding to critics demanding his resignation, saying he will only step down and resign if Ukraine's given NATO membership, saying it's not as easy as holding an election. My removal requires negotiation, he says, admitting his mission is not governing Ukraine, but obtaining NATO membership. What? Giving Ukraine NATO membership is something that would immediately trigger World War III. Watch.
If I am to be changed, and I'll hear, how can I put it, with what's happening with the support, to change me, it will not be easy, because it is not enough to simply hold elections. You would need to prevent me from participating in the elections. And it will be a bit more difficult, so they'll have to negotiate with me. And I said that I'm exchanging it for NATO membership. And then it means that I fulfilled my mission. There is NATO. It means I've fulfilled my mission.
The fact that we gave this guy around $300 billion of our tax money makes me sick. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. All right, that wraps up the news portion of this video. Now let me tell you about the sponsor for today, which ties directly into these rare earth minerals that we've been talking about. The company's name is Military Metals. America's national security is at risk, folks. China and Russia control nearly 100% of the world's antimony supply, a metal that the U.S. cannot go to war without. No antimony equals no bullets, no missiles, no military electronics. This metal is essential for ammunition, for armor-piercing rounds, for missile guidance systems, yet the U.S. produces almost none of it. For decades, the West has relied on China as the dominant supplier, ignoring the growing risk that causes. Now the crisis has arrived. China just banned antimony exports, sending prices to a record $47,500 per ton. The Pentagon now scrambling to secure alternative sources, but the reality's stark. The U.S. military has only around 17 days worth of reserves. Without a secure supply, America's defense systems are vulnerable. That's where Military Metals comes in. This company securing Western-controlled antimony supply, positioning itself as one of the only publicly traded solutions to this crisis. Their flagship project in Slovakia holds over 60,000 tons of high-grade antimony, worth more than $2.5 billion at today's prices. This is one of the largest known deposits outside of China and Russia, yet their market cap currently is only around 30 million Canadian. On top of that, Military Metals owns 2 additional past-producing antimony assets in North America, including the West Gore mine in Canada, which already has $30 million plus stockpiled material ready for processing. With the Pentagon and NATO rushing to secure domestic supply, Military Metals is in a prime position to be part of the solution. We've already seen the U.S. Department of Defense invest $59 million into Perpetua Resources for its U.S. antimony project. So with NATO defense spending projected to exceed $1.5 trillion, Military Metals could be part of the solution, could be in line for U.S. government backing. We don't know that for sure, but it's possible. The urgency is clear. Without antimony, modern warfare is impossible, yet investors have barely begun to recognize the opportunity. This is one of the most overlooked national security investment opportunities. Antimony prices soaring. The West is in desperate need of supply, and Military Metals is one of the few companies positioned to capitalize. So look, what I'll do is I'll leave a link to their website in the description of the video. Make sure to do your own due diligence, only providing some of the info on the company and the market for these rare earth metals. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.